What up, you little goobers? Bebe has responded to his, controversial tweets he had the other day about the Riot layoffs. We actually just covered this. I just uploaded the video, and awkward timing for me. He has responded now to the criticism because he was just universally cooked in the replies and by pretty much everybody for two things. One, being very insensitive to the situation, and two, being just wrong, just wrong about the information he was talking about. And you guys can check that out. So I'd highly recommend you guys watch the previous video or just click on Bebe's Twitter and read the previous tweet because I'm not going to cover that context in this video. I'm just going to kind of read through this verbatim. This is brand new, posted 10 seconds ago. And I'm just going to read this verbatim. I've already read it once, and then I'll give you guys my take on it as we go through it because it is a very long thread. So, all right, I see a lot of hate, but I don't find any single one of you to be offensive. No hate here. Very nice of you, Bebe. I don't hate you either, bud. I just think you're wrong and being weird. Thank you for sharing your opinion. Some people in this world want to prevent the layoff before it happens, implying he is this person. Hey, everyone wants layoffs to happen. No one wants layoffs. No one wants layoffs to happen. That's what I meant. Regarding the Riot layoffs of 530 people, cost down is good, profit up is good. Equal could have saved more workers now and in the future. Simple economics. This is true. I'm telling this out of moral responsibility. I saw 530 people get hurt for no reason, and I see more coming. This is everybody's responsibility. If you calmly read my messages, they aren't really offensive. Okay, man. It wasn't about what you said or how you said it. It was that you were wrong about the current layoffs and that it was really distasteful. To be like, oh, here's all these things that were done wrong, and this is why it came off as like this is why the layoffs happened because you guys did a poor job. That's like how it read, and like the timing of it is not very good. Like it also had none of the not that you necessarily have to do this, but it didn't have any like the respect put in there. Maybe this is like a language barrier thing. Like it didn't have any of the respect of like this is terrible. Let's talk about the future. He didn't write it like that. So see what he's trying to say here. And maybe this is a calculated move, or maybe this is what he meant all along. He's trying to, I can kind of get what he's saying is that the reason why he put that in that previous post, like the TFT stuff, like the problems he has with TFT is because he thinks that in the future, TFT people are going to be let go. More TFT people are going to be let go because he thinks the game is moving in an unsuccessful direction based off of the criticism he had, which was about like marketing, listening to feedback, wasted money on events. So that's what he was talking about. And so I can see that he just communicated that extremely poorly and extremely distasteful, honestly. So I'm seeing people get fired honestly for no reason, not fired up, fired. Seems easily preventable. So I'm just pointing out some obvious truths. For example, think about optimization. Why is the prize pool for Worlds 456,000 and not 700,000 or 200,000? So he's saying this as like a marketing tool because it looks cool when the number is clean looking. I think they are just giving the prize pool for what they have allocated for it. So I think they're doing 456,000 instead of 400,000 or 500,000 because that's the money they have available and allocated in their budget for the prize pool. And so let's just talk about what he's going to say here. He's talk about marketing. Do they know how much marketing effect they'll get from each dollar compared to other major digital advertisement mechanisms? Most other companies use a formula to decide such factors. So he's saying if you have a cleaner looking I think he's saying if you have a cleaner looking prize pool that it looks like, you can market it easier because it looks nicer. I just don't think prize pools have really been a part of Riot's marketing repertoire. It's not been that important to them. Now I'm kind of ignorant of Valorant, but at least in League of Legends, prize pool is not ever even mentioned because just the overall product is so great. The World Championship is very entertaining to watch. World Finals is awesome. Everyone knows the players are paid very well in the League of Legends space, at least in the major regions. I'm not sure about Latin America, that sort of thing. But the players are paid very well. They're compensated very well. So it's never really been a big feature of Riot tournaments, like how it is in Dota. Dota will post their huge prize pool numbers. It gets kind of hyped, but is anybody actually watching because of the prize pool? Aren't people just watching because they like Dota and the event is really cool? So I just don't think Riot really cares about using prize pool as a marketing mechanism. I think they just care about I think they just allocate the necessary funds. Now, when you have if he's arguing for higher prize pools, which he might be doing in here in a second. We'll read. Sure, higher prize pools makes better players show up to the stuff. If TFT was a game that you can make a lot of money playing, then a lot more people would take the game more seriously. A lot of like players themselves who have the ability to play professionally would take the game more seriously as a career path to play, and because you could have a financial future. For someone like myself, someone who I reliably hit Grandmaster and I can peak Challenger, I do that, and I mainly focus on making content because like I personally don't see playing professionally as a viable career path for me because it just seems too risky, and there's not a whole lot of money directly in competing unless you're like the guy who wins all the time. Unless you're someone like Kurum who like wins a lot of big tournaments. Like I just don't. So I can see a point there. If prize pool is higher, then like more engaging professionals, more people who are better on camera, and like or more people who like just stronger competitors will come more into the scene, and then the scene will be more competitive. That'll make it more entertaining. If there's more money in the tournaments, then people care more about like building their brand within the tournament scene. So like it would be more entertaining, but that's just not how Riot's doing it right now. And I think TFT is doing pretty good overall. I think we have great content creators and great competitors. But TFT, I don't think is ever going to be like a huge esport that is like on par with something like League or Valorant or Dota. I just don't think it's that type of game. But I don't really know. So how much money is being distributed for each regional prize pool for tournaments, and how many people are actually engaged? So I just like, we kind of just already talked about this, but I just don't think prize pool is something that fans care a lot about, except for Dota fans. Anytime I interact with Dota fans, they're like, but did you hear about the prize pool? So I just don't think that's something that fans really care that much about. I think that's something that players care a lot about. And I can definitely like feel his like player perspective. Bebe is someone who like competes in tournaments and stuff. I think he's just coming too far from that angle. Maybe like I can see his perspective, but as someone who's a fan, like I would consider myself more of a fan, less of a competitor. I've competed in Riot tournaments, but I'm more of a fan. I don't care about prize pool. Like I don't think a lot of other people care. Like I think that's just really cool when their favorite streamer wins. Like I watch and I root for Kurum and Soju usually when I watch. And when Kurum wins a tournament, I'm really happy. And if he made $20,000 winning the tournament, that's cool too. But it doesn't get me any more engaged unless the prize pool was humongous like Dota, I guess. But it's just never going to be like that. It's not part of Riot's business model. And just TFT is not that game. I guess it's not that game, pal. So I don't know. I know tens of thousands of dollars here is being pillaged by individuals faking to host tournaments and taking thousands from Riot, even if I could do that if I wanted to. So I could be ignorant of this. Maybe this is something in the Asian market. Maybe something's going on in Korea. I could be completely ignorant. I have no idea what he's talking about. Faking tournaments and taking Riot budget. Like Riot is giving money to third parties, and those third parties are faking the tournaments, and then they're getting income from that. I don't know what he's talking about. I could be completely ignorant of that. Don't know what he's talking about. That's definitely not happening here. Like there's not a lot of money in organizing TFT tournaments. Like there's just not, like you don't get into TFT to make money. I think the game makes a lot of money, but like, people like me, people who are in this space trying to like carve out a career kind of like in this space a little bit, online and stuff, like there's not a lot of money in this space. So I could be ignorant of that. And that's really not a lot of money in tournament organization, but maybe something's going on weird in Korea. I don't know. Why is Asian feedback not considered as much in balancing and improving monetization for the game? So I definitely think they use global data. Mortdog talks about it a lot. Like he's like, hey, some of our players aren't, he'll say to match runs, hey, some of our players aren't doing here, but a lot of people are doing this in China and stuff like that. I think they really do care. There's just a language barrier that is just obvious. Like, the main devs for the game are all English speakers. So like, obviously like that's just how it works. Like they're going to, at least front facing and at least on like direct feedback with players, it's going to be more leveraged in the English speaking audience just because that's the language they speak. So that makes sense to me. But monetization for the game, I think it's heavily influenced by the Asian market. Like, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Riot, but they definitely care about their Asian market monetization. Why is all of our big events, usually not TFT specifically, but Riot events, are usually on Asian time zones? The Chinese client always gets new and cool stuff before we do. Why do you think that is? Like they have some exclusive events and exclusive skins over there. I don't know. you know what I mean? Like, I just think that is maybe that's his perspective because he lives in Asia. You know, he was in Korea. Maybe that's how he feels. But like, from someone who lives in North America, it always feels like Riot always caters to the Asian regions, and for good reason. They're most of the market. Like, I'm not mad about it. It makes sense. Like, if I was going to host a major esports event, like Worlds or something like that, I would definitely have the majority of them on Asian time zone. There's more people who live there. There's more players who play there. So I don't understand that perspective. There are gold mine assets that could help Riot increase their size instead of downsizing. There is a myriad of proven and tested ways to infiltrate the Asian market and monetize them, which is what most global companies are doing in other major fields. They just need to benchmark off of other gaming companies. Wasn't that their specialty? Again, I could just be a little bit ignorant, but as far as I can tell, Riot definitely does things with the Asian market in mind, like we just talked about. Like, I really feel like they make the game for the Asian market. Like, we always have the lunar events and stuff. Like, we're not doing like 4th of July events. Like, you know, we're not doing like American themed events, you know, like everything is like, I think Riot really cares about their Asian demographic, like quite a bit. You know, our biggest sets were like kind of like East Asian themings, you know, like set 4. That's kind of what they're doing next with like the mythic stuff. I would imagine it's like Chinese folklore and stuff. Like, I don't know, man. Like, okay, I just don't even know how to respond to that. For those fine intellectuals who read this far, which is the purpose this thread is for, we can apply these lessons in other fields of business of our life of our lives. I think he meant to write. Thanks for reading. Hope you guys don't lose out because of someone else's mistakes. Okay, baby. Hey, man, if you're watching this video, which I don't think you are, hey, man, I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I think you just write some really stupid shit and you sound very sure of yourself about a lot of things that, like, I just think you don't know anything about. Like, I'm not trying to self-insert myself into this or anything like that. I'm just really just reporting the news, giving my take because, you know, some people are interested in that. But like, you know, like when I'm like reading this and like I talk a lot about like, I don't know, I could be ignorant. I don't know. It's okay to just say, I don't know. And I was wrong. And that like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And maybe this is really complicated. And maybe there's a lot of moving parts. And maybe this is a giant global company. And maybe like, you don't know the inner workings of their economics. Like, and maybe you should just say stuff like, hey, it sucks everybody lost their jobs. Hope this doesn't happen in the future. Here are some ways that I think that, you know, I love TFT. And here are some ways that I think TFT can prevent itself from suffering the cutbacks or suffering more cutbacks in the future. Here are some ways that I think the game can improve and the way that the company can make more money. Like, if you just present your information that way, instead of like a way of where like, you're wrong, everyone's wrong. You're right, everyone's wrong. And then not giving like the proper respect or the proper timing around the layoffs, and like just read the room a little bit better, man. Like, maybe this could be a language barrier, but you kind of have a pattern of behavior of kind of doing this sort of thing. Now, I don't want you to get canceled or nothing. But like you're making yourself seem foolish, man. Let's see what the replies are saying. This was just posted, remember, so don't expect a lot of replies here. Bro, when are you going to learn to stop yapping? You have zero clue what you're talking about. That's kind of how I feel. I'll take this into account when making decisions with my business. Thank you, Bebe. Ignore the haters. Do whatever you please. Now, these are the people who get in really early, so we'll see what happens. I'm not going to open up to show more replies, so there might be some bad stuff there. But as I said, this is very new. You know, we'll see some more replies later. This was my take. Like, baby, I can see where you're coming from. You just have no tact. You're not reading the room, man. Like, I can see what you're trying to do, but just present yourself better if you actually want to communicate your ideas to people. Because if not, you just come off as someone who is like very reactionary and very like, I'm right, you're wrong. And just like not having the appropriate respect for the situation when presenting your ideas. Like, there's just a better way to present this. Like, if your goal truly is to prevent workers in the future from losing their job. There's just better tact and better way to present this. Anyways, what do you guys think? This was much better response than what he originally wrote the other day. So, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. Follow my stream.